Yeah, so Siri does a lot of different things. The first is speech recognition, which some of you guys are using this key down here. It's using speech, so you have to get the audio to words. Then there's language understanding, and people say, why is it hard? I understand English. Why is it hard to understand it? Let me give you one example. So when we built Siri, we had a prototype, kind of like you guys have here, and it worked pretty well. So find French restaurants in Boston or whatever. And then we said, well, in Boston, I need to load in the vocabulary for all the cities in the United States. And I might say, oh, make a pizza reservation at a meeting. I need the business name. We loaded in the vocabulary, and we realized there's 30 million business names in the United States, and every word in the English language is a business name. So we put in something like, book a 4-star restaurant in Boston. It's so easy. Book a 4-star restaurant in Boston.
Talking about pizza. What time is it now, by the way? Because, you know, he was supposed to get, this is a funny story. I wish we had got that on tape, okay? Yeah, he's here. But, so, like half an hour ago, he's on the phone with me, and he says my pizza's going to be delayed and all. And it was incredible because, and I said, where are you? You know, I'll help you. And I said, yeah, I'm close to Foothill College, and here's where I am. I'm lost, and I'm giving him directions inside of Foothill. And I can hear the, you know, checkout person behind him because he can't speak English that well. And so it was a real effort trying to just communicate with him. And at the same time, he's telling me he's on campus trying to find our building. I can hear the checkout person behind him ringing the next customer. Yeah. And they're having a conversation. And I said, look, you know, just give me a call after you're on campus and I'll guide you here. And he got here and then he got lost. And we couldn't speak the same language even, and it's a miracle, thank Adam, that he actually found his way here finally. You know, it was such a comedy of errors. I wish you would have, you know, been there and enjoyed it. Yeah, well, go for it. I'm gonna take some of the plates and the paper out there. There's three pizzas there, 3 here, and soda here.
Finish one last little thing, then let's go grab pizza. Yeah. You can ask any questions you have about technology or business or anything on Siri, change.org, what I'm doing now, anything. But I wanted to share one other thing. So I actually, when we built that prototype of Siri, it was all about function. How do we get that done and answer this question, whatever. But we knew there'd be personality and that was a huge part of why Siri went so viral. If you could ask all these funny things, kids talk to it, comedians were on late night showing funny answer, it went viral. So that's something to think about your prototypes building in as well. Something that really catches the attention, that makes people get excited, surprises them. Would you just like give the cards a cut? Right, somewhere in half. So one of the things, a few more cuts. So when we built our first prototype of Siri, we actually built all of those kinds of capabilities into it. Right? So do you know what the #1 most popular question people ask Siri? You know, not the functional, like what's the weather, but like the funny things kids might ask. Any guesses?
Are you alive?
Are you alive? Not in the top 10.
Are you a girl or a boy?
Are you a boy or a girl? That's in probably the top 10.
Where are you?
Where are you? Probably not in the top 10. The #1. That's it. That's it. #1. It's always about relationships, right? And so you need to build relationships into your product, make people care. So we actually built all of those types of things in our paper prototype. So if I were to say, Siri, do you like just type it. L-I-K-E. And Siri says, all right, let's grab some pizza.
Yeah, I hope we got those tricks on tape. So, but you know,
those were good.
we'll send it to Adam.
I got the first one.
You got it? Like, you understood it?
No, I made sure
Yeah,
that
and the thing is, I got two.
Okay. I was like, you
They're
understand?
all vegetarian. One of them is vegan cheese, and I'm not sure which one it is. I'm sorry.
That might be, yeah.
I think this looks like vegan cheese. I tell you the website. You can just check it out quickly. The one that's supposed to have Asian.
Yeah, so you were working and now you're trying to.
Yeah.
Still on video.
It's maybe that, because it also, it browns in a different way than regular cheese. Yeah, so I think it might be that. But I can confirm that if you like. Yeah, I can.
Okay, I give it a taste.
No, no problem. Hi, Mercy, finally, you made it. Okay, awesome. Yeah, where's Ted? I didn't hear from him after that.
I think he said he wouldn't come today, but.
Yeah?
I don't know if.
Hitesh said last minute
Have you had vegan cheese?
emergency.
Don't worry.
Because he had a really cool demo too, right?
Yes, and he has to.
Yeah. But I was thinking I would have an easier time talking to a bot that Hitesh wrote with Amazon Lex than if this DoorDash guy was a bot that was wired in right. I would feel a lot more comfortable with using that. And then this guy, I had to struggle for quite a lot of time. I don't think he was having fun either, right? Because he was getting lost. And, yeah, so there you go. You guys build these apps and everybody will use them.
How does it get lost? He has directions. I don't understand.
Hitesh has got that. I was
No,
hoping
he has
to.
directions. Like, how does it get lost? Like, you look
Because
at the app.
he says Google Maps doesn't have a good fix on it. And so Google Maps gave him the wrong direction. So,
Google Maps wasn't able to find his location?
well, that's what he says. And I think that's understandable because in this hilly area, they don't have good coverage. Anyway, right? So we get less
I think
lost all the
that
time.
too.
So,
I'll just take one.
this is unrealistic trust on certain aspects of the technology. That's why it's so cool that you're doing a cloud course because at least you'll learn to have good expectations from life. Knowing what to expect in a service before complaining about it, right? Because I would not trust Google Maps here. I know it does a pretty good job, but I'm not going to trust my life to it in this place. So, but how do you know that?
The meat is like the impossible burger thing, right?
Oh yeah. So all vegetarian. Even the meat is supposed to be impossible. Not impossible. The one that went
Beyond Meat?
Yeah, Beyond.
Beyond.
Beyond Meat sausages.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, okay.
I really like that.
But the only thing, one of them is vegan, and I need to find out which one it is. If someone can confirm if one of those is vegan, Shalab would appreciate that. Thank you. She thought it was real meat. Which one? Oh, those guys, the birds and bees will eat those pizzas. It's probably the same.
Should I help you bring it in?
Yeah, we can eat them up there. It's nice up there,
Yeah, I guess Adam is inviting us to be outside.
Or one outside?
Yeah.
That was good. So we're outside.
Adam, I have a question. So when somebody uploads a position and change their phone, do you have AI to make sure it's not malicious or sexist?
Combination. There's so many, you have to flag. You don't allow users to flag constantly. There's so many petitions.
Right.
Only popular ones start to surface,
What
and people aren't gonna typically make popular the
the
racist, etc. So sometimes they're there, but no one sees them.
Right. Okay. What is that, another thing?
Outside.
Work on learning.
Yep. So Adam, are you gonna continue giving us a presentation? Do the three countries all at the same time? Do you have different staff?
I had a, in 2007, I'm a huge fan of goals. I always try to make what I call verbally stated goals. It's the most important tool I've used in all my life.
That's
And
actually
I've
the
been
tool
doing
for that?
the
Oh, you're just saying
technique,
it.
verbally stated goal. So here's what it is. It's the most powerful lesson I can teach you.
Okay.
And I've used this to guide my life since 21, many, many years. So my philosophy is life is the most valuable thing we have. So your goal is to make the most out of it. If you're wasting your life, you're wasting the most precious gift, precious resource you have. I don't know what happens after, but I know that the time we have on earth is valuable. So then the question is, how do you maximize time? And who decides what's important? It's you. And the goal is to try to be, and it's sort of a selfish view, but try to be happy and fulfilled. Try to be fulfilled. Not always happy, like that's not, but fulfilled in your life as you define it. So when you go through life, sometimes you're in a great place. But when you are, keep it going. But after a while, any human will change. It's just what we do. So you've been doing, database for a long time. You're like, yeah, I could do that. It's fine. But kind of feeling something that I need a new chapter. I want to learn something else, right? So you get these yearnings that I'm not happy. When you feel it, a lot of people are afraid of change. I've come to embrace change. So when you're coming to what I call chapter changes, so you think of your life as a book where you get to be co-author, not the only author, because things happen that you didn't intend. You want two things in a good life. You want chapters. No book is one chapter. So you need to change and evolve. And you need common thread, right? You want to look back and see that there are lines that went through the whole book. There needs to be a story. And I think people's lives are more fulfilling if you have a question, a theme, a goal, a purpose, a story across all the chapters in your life. It just gives you satisfaction, I believe. So you're coming to a chapter change. You say, what do I want? What should I do now? So that what you do is first, don't be afraid of it. Embrace it. Okay, my next chapter is going to be incredible. And you dream. What should it be? And you feel the core emotion in your heart. Like, what is it that you're really feeling? And sometimes it takes me weeks, months to boil down. Like, there's always people telling you things superficially, like you need more money, you need success, you need this. But what are you feeling? What is it about for you? And that isolating that feeling is hard, but it's the most important thing you can do. Once you have it, and I can tell you the story of my life through those feelings. When I started 3 companies at once, I was in a job. It was a great job. I was leading the largest AI project in U.S. history, $250 million project for over 5 years. But I was frustrated, and I felt 2 things. I felt I was stifled. I had all these ideas that politically I couldn't get out. I just was dying to create again. And I felt like what we were working on wasn't going to go anywhere. Just research papers. Those were the 2 core disgruntlements. So I made a verbally stated goal. I said, in 2007, I'm going to create 5 projects that can impact users in 2007. So I took those 2 emotions, being stifled and feeling like it's not going anywhere, and I turned it into words, a mission statement. 5 projects that can impact users in 2007. Not like 5, like exploding with ideas I want to create, but it should be important to users in 2007. Once I had that phrase, I told everyone, this is what I'm doing. I had no idea how I was going to do it, what my ideas were. But they said, oh, hey, Merry Christmas, what are you doing? What's up? Oh, in 2007, there were 5 projects that can impact you. Okay. And then I colored them that commits you to it. And in 2008, it was 1 major, 1 minor, was my verbally stated goal. I will take the best 2, a major and a minor, and start them as companies, take them into the real world. So I built 5 prototypes, 2, and actually it turned out 3 of my prototypes.
This one sounds.
So my day job was Siri. My night job was Sentience. I did about 50 hours a week on Siri, 25 hours a week on Sentience, and then changed that org with my minor. I basically hired a team, and I had built the first prototype. I run a technical team, and I've been an advisor from the earliest days. But they didn't need me coding. I could get other coding for it. It wasn't AI related, it was just like a website. I could find a website code. So that's how and why I did it. So, yeah.
How did you de-stress yourself?
So,
Like you're working full-time, right?
so what I do, when I'm most productive, sometimes you want to be productive, sometimes you don't. But during this phase, was the most productive of my life. I said I have company A, company B, Siri and Sentient. I want family time. I want sports time. And I carved up my week. I literally took a thing. So here's what it was. I would wake up, so I'm a morning person. I wake up ready to conquer the rest of the morning. So I'd wake up around 5 in the morning. I'd have 2 hours every morning before I left for the train at 7 a.m. On the train, I had 1 hour where I could work on the desk, etc. Because I live in Oakland and I work in San Jose. And I start up my company purposefully away. So every morning, I'd have an hour, and every evening, I'd have an hour. So company B was from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m., 5 days a week. Then I'd have an hour of flex time in the morning and night. And then during the day, it was company A. Right? So flex time was sometimes project needs a little more time for company B or for company A. And sometimes I just need to do my own some personal stuff with it. And then evenings, so I get home at 7 p.m. Evenings was family time. Weekend, so in the morning, so every Saturday morning I would have training, like a trainer would come. And Sunday I would play basketball, so that was my physical exercise. And I had time, since I woke up at like 6, let myself sleep an hour late, I would have usually 2 hours on the weekend morning. But every evening, 7 p.m. till 11, was family time, helping my son with homework. I want to relax and chill, eat dinner, watch TV, whatever. And then weekends, so 5, 10 o'clock, my family was a little later rising. I was already done with all my sports. I'd gotten in my 2 hours or 3 hours on my coding. So from 10 through the weekend, I was available to family. So I literally designed it, and then I got in a rhythm. It's a habit. And one of the toughest things is switching costs. Of, how do I do 2 things at once? What should I be working on? What do I do now? And I didn't have that question. I designed it, and I get into this rhythm. And so I'm like, in mornings I'm working on this, and afternoons I'm working on that, and weekends, and I don't have to think about it. And so it's very efficient. I squeeze more productivity out of that time in my life than I ever have before, because it was designed and I planned it. So I don't, today I'm not quite so structured, but I'm not nearly as efficient. It's a good question.
Awesome. This video. This is also really cool.
So we have so many customizations now with IMG, right? It's very hard to have the same pizza a second time.
Boston. I grew up in Boston. So cheese is a Boston-based pizza company. So when you go there, they have these like photos of different sports people. All
Same
from-
here with the one,
All from the Boston days, and always makes me feel at home.
the one in Mountain View also had like pictures of baseball teams and.
Yeah.
You know, running so that,
AI machine learning system to figure it out. Right? Because you have like a trillion options. I want to make the best pizza or the pizza that reminds me of that or tastes like the one that I had 5 years ago, whatever it is.
So my new company,
Right?
my new company
You can't
is
afford
called
to have
Big
time to
Labs.
say, well, I want to
I
have
spent 2 years,
15 grams of olives or, right? Once you
got
have something in
frustrated
the person
after Steve Jobs died.
or even based on whatever
Serial
biometric
on
measurement your watch sends.
October 4th,
The
2011.
system could basically recommend a pizza saying, well, you know, people in your state of mind have enjoyed this pizza.
Recently,
So you do all that. These possibilities are endless.
I love it.
Steve Jobs was coming to life to see the launch of Siri Show. Literally the day after Siri launched, he passed. Then there were a lot of changes. He understood the big vision of what we wanted to do, but people who came after didn't. I stayed 9 more months trying to make it work, and I go, I can't stay. So I left, took a little time off. So I don't need Apple, I'm gonna start again. Built a new company called Big Labs, and then sold it to Samsung 3 years ago. So Samsung has 1 billion devices, and we're gonna put our technology in all of these devices. So one of the cool, their system is called Bixby. And so if you go to bixbydevelopers.com, so think of it like an Alexa, an assistant, and then Alexa lets you write skills. Kind of like what you guys are doing here, a little bit of language, and you can plug something into an assistant. Bixby is in that space, but a radically different approach. Radically different. So most of the challenge, like in the Siri days, was understanding the language. Like, what did a person mean when they said these words? But once you understood it, like, what's the weather in Boston? An engineer would code up every use case. Oh, how would I find the weather in Boston? Take the word Boston, query a mapping server. Well, it turns out there are 13 Bostons in the United States. Which one did they mean? The closest, the biggest, the most popular one, the capital? So write some logic. Maybe I should ask the user for Concord or something where I'm not sure. I have to ask the user. Maybe I should write machine learning to learn preferences about which Boston they mean. Because most people mean Boston, Massachusetts, but if you go to certain parts of Texas, it's going to be Boston, Texas. Where's that variation? So you shouldn't hardwire it, you should put machine learning. Okay, now I have that. I know which Boston. Let me get the lat long of the Boston, call the mapping, the weather tower, get the data, and I'll put it into a card and say, here is your weather information, and then show it. Like that's a program that you have to write just to handle weather in Boston. And now I ask something different. What's the weather where my sister lives? Oh, different program. I'd call the contacts thing and figure out, oh, he has 2 sisters. I should ask which sister, whatever, right? So the biggest problem at Siri was that for every use case, engineers had to hardwire things, and they all did it differently. Some people would apply machine learning, some people wouldn't. Some people would ask, some people wouldn't. It's just like very fragmented. But language is horizontal. If I say, what's the weather 3 Thursdays from now, I should be able to say, make a reservation 3 Thursdays from now. It's my expectation. You understand, 3 Thursdays should work in the same way. And so at Viv, the core technology is code that writes code. So for each use case, once it's done the machine learning to understand the intent, whether in Boston or whether at my sister's house, that program that's going to integrate the source, call out to my sister's contact information or the mapping server, whatever, all of the integration and interaction. When should I ask the user something? Did you mean this Boston or that Boston? The machine learning applied to it so it doesn't ask if you respond consistently over and over again, et cetera. Every interaction, every integration is written by the AI itself. So your job is to define kind of the space of things. Here are all the different things you can do, like the objects in the world. There are restaurants, there are cities, there's weather information. This is what that is. So you kind of model it. And then every time you think of something someone might want to ask, you type it into natural language and you do a little bit of annotating, very close to what you were doing. You kind of say, oh, this span right here, that's of this type. This span over here, that's the goal. You know, you're very much in an editor, quite like what you do. And then once from that annotation, Bixby writes the program, saying, oh, I'm going to call out to this mapping server, I'm going to do this, apply machine learning, ask the user over here, loops, and all of that code, you don't have to write. And so you can, I'm going to do a shameless little plug. If you're interested in kind of building cool things and you want to see where software is going in the future, I think this collaboration of a human programmer working with an AI programmer side by side, where you do some of it and he does some of it, does some of it, I think that's where software will go. And you can try it out now. You go to bixbydevelopers.com. You download developer tools that are the richest by far on the market, and it's the same one we use. So when we're teaching Bixby new things, what's the weather, book a reservation, whatever, we're using a system, it's the same one that you get to download and use. Amazon and Google, believe me, third parties do not get to use the same tools Google engineers or Amazon engineers. It's like, it's not on a level playing field at all. And then you can create, literally in minutes, a new conversational interaction to your service. Like, you've got a back-end service that you're doing. You want to put a front-end UI on it. Right now you're coding up the UI. Wouldn't it be cool if you could just pick up any Samsung phone or TV or refrigerator or smartwatch and just say, conversationally, I want to do this. And it calls your back-end service and gets it done. Right? You can do that with Bixby today. You can create what we call them capsules. Alexa calls them skills. So you can create one of these in minutes. We have a marketplace and a store, so you can publish this to a store. And users can now discover in a much, your capabilities. Like Foothill College, maybe I want my class schedule available on my Samsung phone. So I just say, hey, when's my math class? Or which way to the music building, whatever. You can take a back-end service or data, plug it in at a conversational interaction in minutes. And the cool part, they're running contest, developer contest. If you like these kinds of hackathons, they will pay a minimum of $300 for every published capsule through the end of the year. That makes it to the marketplace. You can literally build these in minutes. It may take you a little bit because there's like tools to help you do this quickly. You get to interact with some of the, I think, the coolest technology around. And the grand prize is, I think they say $300 for every capsule that makes it to the marketplace. And I think the grand prize is $10,000. And if you're, so $10,000. So, and there's multi-$1,000 mid prize. So it's kind of neat. So yeah, if you want to learn about, will AI write software for you? I think, yes, together with a human developer. Just like, will AI replace doctors? I think an AI will be a tool with a human doctor that makes together much more effective. So for me, I'm very interested in that kind of synergy of the best of human meets the best of AI. It's like, I mean, we use tools of all sorts, like a calculator or a computer or whatever. It's doing things that I could never do. It would take me ages to churn out every combination of this or what have you. Like the card trick that I showed you, there's no gimmicks, there's no sleight of hand. Everything that you saw is exactly like it is.
So if I give you a different card,
Yeah, you can choose any card. Now, the secret is, I'll tell you, you can see it. So you're like, well, what happened? He asked these questions, and it's, 8 questions simultaneously for any 2 cards picked. How is it that the cards are going to be exactly in order, such that 8 questions will work, no matter any card chosen? Because you could have chosen any card. Well, it's in order, because obviously the order is the secret. But what's order? What? So I've shown you, I've done just what an entrepreneur does. I imagined an impossible future. Wouldn't it be cool if you could make a deck of cards into a series, right? I imagined an impossible future. Then I figured out the math and the science to make it real. It is real. This is a real product. I can ask questions for any card, pair of cards, 8 questions, and it'll work. And I'm going to show you the secret right here. Here it is.
You put it back into the sequence?
It's in the sequence all the time. It's a product. I worked hard on this product. I'm not gonna like shuffle the deck and lose the order. It took me a long time to figure that out. Now, you know, what's that?
You did shuffle.
All right. Well, that maybe I
You
didn't
know,
really
you
shuffle.
should reshuffle again.
I can shuffle like this. You know, so look,
It was
the
like
the
a
cards,
skimpy shuffle.
the cards are all mixed.
You didn't like really.
And I can tell you 5, 4, 8, queen, ace, 9, 10, 6, 2, 1.
I wish the camera was on the other side, but you know, but we just
So
believe.
yeah,
Well,
there
yeah,
might
yeah,
be
yeah.
something a little fishy about the game, but it's clear, right? But there's an order, and so the cool part is that trick, just like building a real series, how did we do it? We imagined an impossible future and figured out the math and science to make it real, to solve the problem. This, I imagined a Siri-like impossible future. I figured out the math and the science. What is the right order that 8 questions can simultaneously be answered for any card chosen? If I put this card here, well then that needs to, it's a constraint problem. Not the easiest thing, but there it is. So you can, a human who has the innovation, the creativity, can use tools like computers to help solve problems that are really, you know, hard. Like it would be tough for me to figure that out by hand. I can use tools to help figure that out. So, yeah.
So you mentioned sequence or order.
Yes.
I mean, in nature, there's so many questions. How do you come up with that sequence to generalize? How can you generalize the one problem into so many problems without being specific for each problem?
You always have to have a precise goal or set of goals. For anything you do, you're building a product. You're going to have a set of goals. What user experience? You could do a command line interface. You could do a beautiful JavaScript interface. You could be dynamic or static. It could be a conversational interface. You have a lot of different paths you can take. So you have every design problem is a question of what are my goals, most important, second most important, third most important, fourth important, you know. And you're trading off constraints. If I use Python, I get to use that library, but if I used Java, I get to use that different library. You know, so every decision you do in life is a constraint problem, just like this card thing was. And it's those who do it better or less well. I mean, what's the difference here? I heard you talking about Apple's a great company. They made the right decision because they got the weight of this thing just here, or the square was that right. Now, there are decisions involved in making those choices. And you're trading off the size of the thing. Is it rounder or longer? But you can put more electronics in if it were a little longer, but it doesn't feel quite as right, or it's not balanced. Design problem. So I mean, you can literally think about everything you do in life, and the better ones versus the less ones is different choices. And maybe it comes from different priorities. At Apple, they always start with the user experience and work back. They don't care what the technology. If the user doesn't see it, that's not important. They didn't start, has to be Python, so now let's see what we can do. They said, no. We want to create this exact pixel experience. We want them to see that. Now, to do that, we need this thing created. Now, to do that, we need that thing. And you go back 10 steps, and Python's back there, or the servers are further back. You know, did we use Terraform to deploy it, or did we use something else? Right, and those are important decisions too. But Apple's priority stack, what's most important is that the pixels look just this way to delight users. You know, so I guess that's my answer. It's about a constraint problem, and it's very similar. To, if I put the king here, king of spades at the 4th position, well, that means, you know, constraint problem. decision.
How does Siri decide when to stop listening? Like, how does it decide, like, oh, like, there's enough context to sort of give a response?
Well, Siri is a request response system, which is pretty simple. We were actually talking with this group here that you could imagine translation. I say something, and then it plays to you, and then you respond, and it plays for me. So it's very like metered.
Okay.
Siri's like that. I make a request, it answers and stops. I can refine. I can make another request in context, like how about Tuesday, but it's going to answer and stop. So the conversational pattern is very
It's back and forth.
defined.
Okay.
And so how does it know when to start or stop listening? Well, there's a trigger word, or you press a button, or what have you. It's going to listen, it's going to interpret, it's going to do something. Maybe it'll ask you a question. Then it stops, you answer, then it continues, and then it gives you the final answer. But it's a very constrained conversation flow. Humans don't behave that way. They talk over each other, they stop, they start, they do half a sentence and then throw that away. It's, so it's a little bit different.
There are some efforts actually,
Yeah.
how you can use AI to predict emotions.
Oh, absolutely. I have a friend who did an emotion AI company called Affectiva.
I know that. I see.
Yeah, exactly. Rana.
Rana Kalubi.
Yeah, Kalubi. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
It's amazing. It's amazing idea. There's another actually similar idea here in Bay Area. I don't remember exactly what it's on.
So I have a silly question,
Sure.
which I never tested. When I traveled to Indonesia, I never used Siri, but if I speak in Indonesian, would it be able to actually
Understand?
understand?
So Siri supports a number of languages. You don't have to go to Indonesia to start speaking, or to go to France to start speaking French. So let's see, I guess you go to, there's a Siri and search option in your settings. Then there's language, and you can choose what language it's using to understand you. So there's Arabic, Chinese, 4 different versions, Danish, Dutch, English, many different versions, Australia, Canada, India, Ireland, New Zealand, Singapore, South Africa, United Kingdom, blah, blah, blah. Finnish, French, so there's a set. Look, it's probably like around 30 to 40 different languages, and you can set up Siri to use that language, both for input and output. So my son was younger. He thought it was the funniest thing in the world to set something to like UK English or Australian English and see if it would understand you. Like, you go, hello, and see if it would know what you're talking about, and it would speak back to you. And he loved changing the accents and the languages on Serial.
Sounds pretty fun,
It
actually.
is fun.
I did that with like the computer like a long time ago, with like where you could write in text and then it would like speak back to you.
Yeah.
With like the Stephen Hawking's kind of.
We got that
voice.
right here in a beautiful dynamic editor that you change the
Oh, yeah, yeah.
voice
Yeah,
and
yeah.
language and
Yeah, no,
style
that was
and
cool.
speed and,
That was cool.
there it is.
It's a good
Complete
example.
Hey,
complete control.
are you going to demo it to us, all of us? You're going to demo too?
I can.
Yeah, okay, we have time. Whenever you're ready to demo, you can go ahead. Anybody who wants to demo, just crank it up and we'll, ask Adam to lower the lights.
I'm gonna actually have to run. I
Okay,
have a
all right,
flight
okay.
to catch
Thank you
this
so much.
afternoon.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
been
Thanks
great
so much.
to get out of here.
Can we have a selfie picture?
Yeah, let's do a
Oh,
selfie.
Oh, yeah, that could be really cool. I like that.
Yeah, the only opportunity we're doing it.
Siri, change.org.
Can we use the best phone here? I don't have the best phone.
I don't have an iPhone, so.
I have an
I was
iPhone.
like, we call you the iPhone, but I don't want to,
The iPad.
The iPad? No, then it's going to be a master locate the frame.
Why don't we use my
Why don't you guys
phone?
go out in the sun under a tree or something?
Yeah, let's use my phone. I'll send you the photo.
Okay, cool. Oh,
Yeah, and yeah,
Okay.
200 feet. I just need you to watch the shadow. But no, I think it'll be fine. You got midget lake there.
Where are we doing it?
Just outside,
All right, that'll help me get out
Okay.
anyway. Yeah, thanks.
So that we'll get lost in. You know, the call. Funny.